How's everybody doing today?
Awesome.
Oh, good. Lori, now where are you? How's everybody doing? Who's that, Arlene? Arlene?
Yes. Yes.
Arlene, where are you from? Can we turn your camera on? Welcome to day 3, secret 3.
Can you see me?
I can't see you.
Oh,
It's
my
okay.
camera's on.
It's okay. It's all right.
Let's
Welcome,
see.
everybody. I'm really excited about tonight because I'm going to get into habits, So we talked about the optimal. I'm just going to mute everybody and get into. Sorry, we are live streaming to Facebook for some reason. Okay, let me just hold on one second. Okay, let's see here. Just hang on a minute. I'm just going to mute everybody for a second. For some reason, Arlene is not muting. Okay. Oh, well, yeah, just please mute. I'm going to mute you. And okay, we're just allowing people into the room. Lisa's joining us. Oh, there's Arlene. Hello, darling. Nice to see you. And we are live streaming to my private Facebook group. Welcome everybody to day 3. We are on Tuesday. We're not even halfway through yet, and we have so much more stuff to go over. So I'm really excited. Hey Lisa, good to see you, my darling. And tonight, so I'm so super excited. If you missed any of my trainings on Sunday and Monday, I encourage you to go back. If you registered for the Zoom, you should have the replays, and you can go back and listen to them and re-scribble your notes. And if you have a pen and paper on you, please take some notes, because I power through so much content, and I don't want you to miss anything. And of course, if you have any questions in the Zoom room, please raise your hand and, basically either type your questions into the chat or, or unmute yourself if you want to interrupt. And that, if it's a burning question, just unmute yourself and jump right in. So we have about an hour's worth of content, so hang tight. And I would love the dialogue. So the dialogue and the exchange between our Zoom members, as well as, the people in the Facebook group. So please, jump right in and let's have a dialogue. Okay, hold on a second. I'm just trying to get this live stream going in the right way. Okay, so I'm gonna hit the record button, and so yeah, so the first day we went into the science of why it's been hard to lose weight permanently in our midlife, and this secrets of the 5 secrets to unleash her rebel. Her rebel is not about being rebellious and being a rule breaker, but it's really about breaking the rules of self-instituted obstacles. That's what this entire training is about. And I know from working with clients who have had to lose 20, 30, 50, up to 100 pounds of body fat to get their bodies back in order and in health, that in my experience, that it's not just about what you eat and how you eat, although those are super, super important, but it's really about our mindset, and it's also about our habits. So it's a really complicated thing. Why do less than 5% of people have difficulty losing weight permanently? Because this is really an inside out job. It totally is an inside out job. And this Unleash Our Rebel is for feminine leaders who have a lot going on. Maybe you have your own businesses. Maybe, you're struggling with a scarcity mindset because of the fear of unknowns. Maybe you're juggling taking care of children, taking care of aging parents. There's a lot in midlife that we're dealing with. Maybe we're dealing with hormonal changes. Maybe we're dealing with, losses in terms of grieving, aging parents or loved ones or spouses. And often when we are into our daily business priorities or our job priorities, our health often takes a back seat. And so if you have been having difficulty finding time for self-care, and you're kind of short on your fuses and you're feeling frustrated and unfulfilled and a little bit overwhelmed, and I know this has been a really hard year for everybody, you're in the right place tonight and every night this week, because this is an opportunity for you to dig deeper and really understand your emotional triggers and really find hope and possibility in living a nourishing and brilliant life and having the tools to do that. And we really want to just slow things down and get into our intuitive mind instead of our problem solving critical mind. And we talked a lot about that the last couple of days, and really kind of revisiting that little girl that's running on the beach, with totally, a feeling of safety and freedom. And we really want to create over this week new definitions about our relationship, not only with food, with nourishment, but really with ourselves, because that's really where it all starts. And if if you've been struggling with limiting beliefs and habits where, some of those negative beliefs came up at some point in our life, feeling unworthy or feeling not good enough, or maybe there's some negative talk, and we went over the inner critic last night, and maybe there's doubt in your possibilities and confidence. These negative thought patterns or limiting thought patterns and habits actually affect us every single day, and it's in our subconscious. So the goal of this training series over this week is to really empower you with tools, with an opportunity to exercise new ways of thinking. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. So can everybody see this okay? All right. So these are the typical business owner problems. And those of you who don't know me, my name is Tina Hong. I'm an executive health and mindset coach, and I work on lifestyle nutrition for those people who have been struggling with weight loss in their entire life or up to midlife. And my focus in the last 10 years has been food and mood, food addictions, natural weight loss, adrenal fatigue, managing stress, and utilizing other avenues, natural avenues, to really get your life back. And I am an upcoming author of a book titled 60 in Stilettos, and it's 6 secrets to unleash your hidden rebel. And what rebel means is, again, the rebel means is it's not about breaking rules that the external world has around us, but the rules that we've self-instituted. So I hope that makes sense. And as a health coach, I work privately as well as in group programs, a multitude of 90-day programs throughout the year in terms of short-term programs and short courses. But I also work privately with people who are really struggling and have been struggling for a long time and need that personalized attention. So this week, we have a number of different topics, and tonight's topic is called Day 3, Secret 3, Habits for Permanent Weight Loss and for Better Performance on a Day-to-Day Basis. And again, she is rebel. She's a bit of heaven with a wild side. I know you ladies have a wild side in you. And it's not just about like being bad, in terms of sneaking away and having your chocolate cookies and donuts in the middle of the night. I'm talking about a wild side where you need to, you have this desire to take your power back, and you want to trust your inner wisdom, and you want to see results. You want to show up stronger than you ever have. And this training is about really letting go of our attachments and redefining our limiting beliefs and our associations with our health as well as the world around us. So last night I had a homework assignment based on this like Coco Chanel meme. And a girl should be two things: who she wants and what she wants. And I know that there were a couple of people that were on last night, as well as you, Lori, and Alessandra. Alexandra was joining us from Greece at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So she's joining us again today in the Facebook group. But so I want you to think about this, like, who are you and what do you want? Do you know who you are today and what you want? And if that's not clear to you, who do you want to be and what do you want? And that exercise is, who am I being? Who am I being? Those instituted kind of roles that we've come into play as a wife, as a daughter, as a mother, as a business leader. Who am I being right now? Who am I being? And what is it really that I want? And these two kind of questions really kind of start unraveling what having a little bit more clarity and definition about what we want to accomplish in the next 20 years of your life. This really is an invitation to the next best 20 years of your life. So does anybody want to share their thoughts about who am I being and what do I want? Any thoughts about that? If you were able to join in last night's exercise or training, any thoughts were you able to come up with around this exercise? Anybody want to share? Nobody wants to share? All right, I'm going to come back to this then if you don't want to share, if that's okay. Nobody wants to share, but if you are, oh, Laura, you want to share? Good, awesome. Yes, please share.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you.
We have storms. I have problems with Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Want to make sure. I'm being a caregiver to everybody else. And to put simply, I want to be the caregiver to myself first. And I want that to be effortless. That I the last couple of months I've been focusing on it, but I have to think about it, and I still don't do some of the practices every single day. I do it most days, but I just want that to be effortless. And I'm also being fearful. I have fear of the unknown, definitely. And I would like to be fearless.
I love that. I love that. And that is amazing. Yes, I'm so grateful for your vulnerability and for your share, Lori. And I think there are many women in this group that feel the same way, that feel afraid of the unknowns. And that's been such a huge fear thing over the last year in the pandemic. of what is going to happen to the economy, what is going to happen to my business, what is going to happen to my health, what is going to happen, with this vaccine, what is really happening in this world, right? There were so many unknowns. And I love that you coined that word. I want to coin that word for you, that effortless word. And we talked a lot about really the left brain, right brain thinking. And as business owners, we're constantly cranking, problem solving. And you, as a caregiver, have been taking care of everybody else, like you said. And how many people can relate to that? If you are in the Facebook group, please make a comment, or in the chat, please make a comment in the comment section of what that really looks like. And in terms of caregiving and just giving so much and not having enough at the end of the day, and we often come up short. So that right brain, left brain thing is totally what I'm talking about this week. And everything is related and coming up with your game plan. So thank you for sharing that, Lori. I appreciate that. I'm so grateful. And I'm just gonna see if we can mute yourself back up. Yeah, thank you. So in my work, I always work around 3 pillars of optimal vitality: nourishment, both on and off the plate. That means the food that you eat on your plate, but also nourishing activities, nourishing things off the plate. Okay. And we also, in order to have optimal vitality in our midlife, we also have to retrain our habits. But it always, always begins with our mindset, because our minds are a powerful tool to actually change our way of thinking, change the perspective, and change the definitions that have been instituted, either self-instituted or instituted around us in terms of our family, business, and lives. So, this quote is, "We cannot become what we need to be by remaining what we are." And I am so proud of every single one of you who are taking this training really seriously and really giving this some time to saying, no, that's remaining what we are in our self-instituted obstacles is not good enough. That we are meant to have more. We are totally meant to have more in our lives, in our joy, in our fulfillment, in our businesses, and so forth. So when, the meaning behind self-expression is that we are communicating who we are and what we stand for in our interactions with our family and our friends, in our work. And that self-expression is about letting yourself, the real you, shine, the authentic you, and allowing yourself to be yourself, and honoring yourself, and not letting that critical inner mind, that problem-solving mind, to take over. And so we talked about getting from unconscious to conscious to autopilot, reassigning our emotional comforts of familiar and creating new familiarity, and clearing those emotional attachments and creating new belief systems. And today we're going to get into habits, but your hidden rebel is ready to be revealed. Believe this. It's time for you to show up and own an unstoppable health, to have more abundance beyond your expectations. And last night, just in quick review, we talked about grasping to abundance. We briefly talked about how we need to release the grasping, the mindset of scarcity and unhealthy desires or addiction. And that once we release, we're creating more space, leading to more natural areas of abundance and generosity. And when we are connected with ourselves and our presence is there, we're able to practice generosity. And we talked about the emotional frequency. How can you consistently raise your emotional frequency? All of our emotions have different levels of frequency. So humiliation and shame is down at 20, but enlightenment is at 1,000. So if you're kind of like, in a really kind of fear and anxiety state on a day-to-day basis, and there's always this undercurrent, this electronic current of a frequency of fear and anxiety that's always residing within you at 100 versus 1,000. I mean, come on, like think about that. How much fear and anxiety is taking over in your day-to-day basis? Do you know? Can you guess? Anybody want to share, like, how much is fear and anxiety taking over your day? Anybody want to share? Okay. Well, you don't have to. You could chat it into the box. Yeah, we're just warming up here. And the state of abundance is, we talked about the Buddhist therapy, mental health therapy to heal depression and anxiety and neurosis is called Nikon. And the 3 questions to self-reflect upon at the end of your day, to practice this reflection and write this down. What have I received today? What have I given today? And what troubles and difficulties have I caused today? Again, what have I received today? What have I given today? And what troubles and difficulties have I caused? So this reflection is a way to slowly and systematically review our life and offer gratitude for each thing that was given to us. And this philosophy, Nikon reflection, or Nikon Buddhist philosophy, is that in generosity we receive gratitude. In acknowledgement of where we're at in vulnerability, in terms of having those fears, and how those fears have actually stopped ourselves or stopped others, are difficulties that, when it's acknowledged, is actually a practice of abundance and a practice of gratitude. So notice, practice of gratitude, Nikon, or generosity, includes noticing the gifts around the world or in the natural world, and the generosity of humans around you, and the generosity of, whatever a thought enters our mind, the spontaneous thoughts of generosity, and how we can, the random act of kindness that you may experience or have offered in the world around you. And practicing generosity is about delighting in whatever you do. So even if it's a toil, finding beauty and adornment in the words and our deeds is really important. And noticing when you do come alive. And in our midlife, we kind of get tired, right? We kind of get like sick of the same old thing, and we get frustrated and we feel stuck. And so when you notice you come alive, whether it's an idea or a concept or just a connection that you're making, notice that, because that is a practice of generosity to yourself. And so coming alive is a great title for my next series. So we talked a lot about the left and right brain kind of thinking, and how we problem solve with our left brain, and we also are more expansive with our right brain. But what is the sweet spot is the superhighway. Okay. And this superhighway is really a superhighway for learning. It gets into our deep subconscious. So when we can navigate, when we can turn off our critical brain and switch over to our expansive brain, and we're able to navigate that left and right brain momentum at pretty much on a dime, then we're really kind of at that superhighway. We are in a place of growth and learning. right? So we're learning critical things, but we're also expanding. So secret number 3, habits for permanent weight loss and for better performance. And it's really about performance these days, right? We want to perform better. We want to, it's not about doing more. It's not about doing more. And I'm going to get into that. So I want to ask you, I know some of you have seen this slide a million times, but what does your health look like 20 years from now? What does your next best 20 years look like? We hit our aging curve, our top of our peak vitality at about 30 years old. So once you start hitting 40, you're on this, see this little graph here on the upper left, you're really on a decline, okay? Until you hit 90, 100, until death. And the thing is, we can't defy aging. We can defy it to a certain extent, but it's kind of the momentum that we do have a finite time here on this earth. And what we do now today in our midlife can actually change the momentum and actually can extend our vitality and enable us to be ballroom dancing at 100 years old. So what you do right now in terms of retraining your habits and retraining your mindset and really giving yourself the proper nourishment to heal your body is really about extending your life. And it's about longevity. And it's not just about longevity. It's about, what's the car that you want to drive down the road the next 20 years? Do you want to be in that walker, in that old jalopy for the next 20 years? Or do you want to be driving down in that Bentley? I don't know about you. I want to drive down that Bentley and I have my guy next to me and take me ballroom dancing at 100 years old. That would be ideal, right? So we can do that, and it's totally possible. People are living to 100 these days, and not to say that you have to live to 100 or we want to live to 100, but it's really about, getting as much juice out of the next 20 years of your life. So I want to ask you, we talk, the habits are based on rewards. So if like my studies and things like that, on this quadrant on the left-hand side are temporary things that people typically gravitate towards to have rewards. So if they, on the upper left quadrant, if people want an energy boost, they have caffeine, they have sugar, they have simple carbs, maybe they're on upper pills, or antidepressants. Also cortisol, we talked about that briefly yesterday. Some people get addicted to stress and anxiety, and that's the only way they actually operate on a day-to-day basis. And that's their upper. But those are all temporary fixes. And then down on the lower left-hand quadrant are ways that people wind down with alcohol, with sleeping pills because they can't sleep. They're overeating, they're numbing out with television or painkillers. These are temporary wind down tools. On the upper right hand, the green on the right hand upper quadrant, sustainable practices to have energizing rewards is around having quality proteins, the right kind of carbohydrates, movement and exercise, yoga and stretching, playing and laughing, having joy, and listening to music. Some of these are ideas around what could be our uppers that are lasting, that actually work with our body to actually heal our body and give us more spaciousness. And some ways to chill down in terms of a sustainable way to reward ourselves is taking regular breaks. How many of you actually take regular breaks? How many of you take a nap in the middle of the day or nap? You're like, what are you, crazy? Right? And sometimes when, for example, like when I have a really, like when I have a not so great amount of sleep, I feel tired and my brain feels tired the next day. And, a lot of people just jack themselves up with caffeine and coffee and they don't realize how tired they actually are. And so when I feel like I didn't get a good night's sleep and I was a little bit tossing and turning and thinking about things too much, I actually take like a 10-minute nap, and just closing your eyes for 10 minutes and just actually getting into a peaceful state can actually revive you. It can give you so much more, because it's really giving your body a chance to reboot, just like sometimes we have to reboot our phones and reboot our computers. So that's really important. So these are just some examples. And so I ask you, what does your reward system look like? What are some uppers and downers? And I want you to take a minute to jot down in your notebooks. What are some, naturally rewarding uppers that you can take? And we're going to add to this list as we go through more habits. What are some uppers, like energizing, uplifting, freeing, uppers, feeling stimulated, excited, and passionate, the things that make us feel alive and come alive? What are those uppers, rewards that we can give ourselves on a daily basis? Anybody want to chat any comments or share any ideas around that? Anybody want to share? What are some of your uppers or downers? Go ahead, Lori.
Um, some of my uppers now, definitely caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
I've cut it down quite a bit. Being in the service industry for decades, I was addicted to it.
Mm-hmm.
Down to 1 cup a day, and generally it's a half a cup. So, but what I'm going to transition into, dancing. I love to dance. Put on music, hit shuffle on my playlist and just have fun with whatever song comes on.
Mm-hmm.
Meditating, and then walking. We're very lucky to be so near the coast.
Mm-hmm.
Walking is a good thing for me.
Awesome. And Lisa chatted in healthy homemade foods. Yeah. Lisa loves cooking. So that's her upper. It gives her creativity, and, it gives her joy to make healthy homemade foods. That's awesome. What about some downers? What about, like, downers, not meaning a downer, but like, what are some chill down items, like wind down things that are happening now that you totally do that you might want to replace? Anybody want to share? What are some of your wind down routines that you end up rewarding yourself with that may or may not be really supporting your long-term goals? What does that look like? Go ahead, Lori.
Food and TV.
Food and TV. So those are your wind down items, and where you numb out and you're saying, I'm going to chill, so I'm going to have food and TV, maybe both at the same time, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Arlene says sweets. Okay. Anybody else want to share? Anybody else? Okay. Oftentimes, the wind down routines are at the end of the day, you come home or you have a drink, an alcoholic drink. How often are people having their wind down routines every single night with a drink at the end of the alcoholic drink at the end of the day? And we know what alcohol does in terms of, our blood pressure, right? We know that sweets, what it does to our insulin in terms of our ability to actually lose body fat and actually change our body composition to be more powerful and strong in our midlife. So we know all these things, but why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to switch up our wind down routines? Because these are things that are familiar and that you've been doing for a long time. And so I want to encourage you, think about those replacements. Like, what are those things that may not necessarily be supporting your what you want? Coco Chanel's what you want in life, right? Your ultimate what you want and who you're being. So think about, are is TV and food and together and TV in front of food, or food in front of TV, are those things what you want later on, Is the alcohol at the end of the day, or the sweets, those are things that are just temporary fixes. And they may not actually be supporting you. So what is familiar in terms of habits of the past are we encounter a stressor or a negative emotion, right? Sometimes it could be positive emotions, but basically a stressor or a negative emotion that comes into place. And then it turns into a eating behavior, right? Or a drinking behavior or some kind of emotional eating habit, maybe even an increase of food consumption or sweet foods. And basically, there's an output to that, an emotional relief, maybe, or a state of being, right? But that's temporary. So when we identify the stressor with a behavior, and that becomes really a habit. So stressor meaning, oh gosh, not sure what's, give me a stressor that people are struggling with. Let's use some real examples. Chat it in. Get specific besides fear of the unknown or something. Anybody want to share? Erlene, are you listening? What are some things that are a stressor for you?
My kids being home, no school.
Okay. All right. That's a good stressor. And so, Erlene, let's use that as an example if we may. Can we do that?
Sure.
Okay. So that stressor, that kind of what comes with that stress? Your kids being home. What does that look like for you? And how does it stress you out?
I don't really have time for me.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up, they're with me all day,
Mm-hmm.
every day,
Mm-hmm.
every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. You can't go anywhere. There's no place to drop them.
Mm-hmm.
They're stuck. You go for a walk, they're with you because you don't have no place to leave them.
Okay. And how old are your kids, Erlene?
10 and 8.
10 and 8. And how does that, so how do you deal with that stressor? What is the behavior that happens for you?
Well, for me, it's either I'm last. I take care of myself last. I put them to sleep. Like right now, I'm not recording because I just finished their dinner, just got them in the shower, and I'm still looking a mess. I'm like, oh my God, I have this meeting, and I'm like, no makeup on. I'm looking at everybody, their hair is fixed and stuff, and I have a big t-shirt on.
You're
Little,
beautiful.
and then I'll wait till they go to sleep, then I'll try and take a shower. And if I'm able, then I can sometimes I drink a cup of coffee with lots of sugar and go to sleep. And sometimes I eat their leftovers because they want something different, and then they don't always finish it. So I'm like, I can't waste the food. So I find myself doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Mm. And so, how does, at the end of the day, after you take a shower, finally get to eat at the end of the day after taking care of everybody else, how do you feel?
Exhausted.
Exhausted.
Exhausted. I feel emotionally exhausted
Mm.
because I gave up my career to help them, but I had a routine. I was able to go out, volunteer, do things for me,
Mm-hmm.
find time for me. And
Mm-hmm.
since everything shut down, I don't have that anymore.
Mm.
So I
Okay.
feel a little bit lost.
Okay.
That's a better word.
Good. Well, thank you so much for sharing. So one more thing, Arlene, and I'm so grateful that you're sharing, and I'm sure there are lots of moms in this room, in this group that can relate to this at one point in their life, at some point in their life, or right now, where there's just not enough room and you're exhausted and there's just emotional exhaustion at the end of the day. So let me ask you, just based on the reward system that we talked about, you know the wind down routine, you're taking a shower at night, you finally get to that at what, 10 o'clock at night, and you hadn't eaten, and basically that's your wind down routine. Are there, and you said you drink a cup of coffee and with sugar,
Lots of sugar. I drink too much coffee.
and you
I'm
do
like,
that before?
yeah, because part of me is still up and I can hear my kids.
Okay.
I can hear when they get up. I can hear when they go to the bathroom. I make sure, they're okay.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Okay.
it could be that's the reason why I keep having so much of it. I don't know.
So you feel like you need to have it just to take care of your kids, that you need to be there awake.
I need to feel like I have my eyes, my ears on them at all times.
Okay. And that's a typical mama thing that you have to do. Do you have anybody else helping you?
My husband, he's here. He helps me.
Okay.
He told me to calm down. The kids are fine, but I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like men can just go about their day and they're okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Right. So, is it possible, Arlene, now think with me for a second, is it possible that you're having that cup of coffee with sugar in it at night because that's your time and you're kind of saying to yourself, damn it, I'm going to have that damn coffee because I like coffee and that's the only enjoyment that I'm having.
yeah,
Yeah?
quite possible. Yes.
Okay. All right. If that is true, say if that is true, that's it. That's your only enjoyment. And there's no judgment here. Okay. So if that's your only enjoyment, um, is it your only enjoyment, you think? Sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, it really is. I did give up a lot of the cookies and that. I don't buy them. I don't really go crazy. But the coffee,
Okay, the
I feel
cost.
like I've increased
Right.
a lot.
Yeah. So the thing is, I'm wondering, is there something else that you could choose in terms of your reward?
I don't know. I got to think about that.
Okay. Okay. So we talked about a bunch of things, taking breaks, meditating, listening to music. Those were some of the ideas, but I'm going to have some more ideas for you. So hang tight, Arlene. Thank you so much for sharing. And you know what happens specifically with Arlene's story there? Thank you so much for sharing. Is that oftentimes when we're left empty, we have an emotional hunger, right? And when we're actually physically hungry, then it comes on gradually. But sometimes in our subconscious, our body, our emotions are saying, oh my God, I want something. And Arlene said, I need that cup of coffee. I want that cup of coffee. And we know that coffee has caffeine in it, and it basically is an anti nutrient to sleep, right? We know that fundamentally, but there's no judgment there. But that's her only joy. And if that's the only little bit of joy that she's having, it comes on suddenly. Emotional hunger comes on suddenly, and it comes on sharply, like I need to have it. You become fixated on a specific food, taste, or texture, and it's hard to satisfy. That was a perfect example of emotional hunger, wasn't it? And this can be coffee, it could be alcohol, it could be junk food, sweets, so many different things. It could be, it could be, just stress in itself, that you need more. And what your body is and your mind is telling you is you need more. So the two pathways for that affect emotional hunger is dopamine, and cortisol. And when we have dopamine, that is our neurotransmitter that triggers and communicates to us that we're feeling pleasured. You know, when we have sweets, when we sometimes even, well, when we're having caffeine, you know, when we have sweets and things of pleasure that are coming in through our mouth, or even through sex, when we have sex, right? That's a feeling of vitality and aliveness. And that dopamine is a neurotransmitter that actually triggers, lights up in our brain and says, wow, that felt good, you know? And so the habits of our past actually trigger that. And our body is being our mind, our brain is being taught that that's what you need to satisfy that emotional hunger. And then cortisol is a stress hormone. And so it's a reaction when we're in survival mode. When we're in survival mode, it's scarcity mode. And what our body does biologically, physiologically, is it's looking for something, like it's conserving. Remember, it's contracting, you know? So basically, you don't want to expand. It's a reaction. It feels threatening to you when your cortisol is released. So just imagine that. So how we actually nourish ourselves affects our emotional hunger. And we talked about this last night. In order to reverse the curse, reverse the stress cycle, the stressor is, you know, how we perceive the event is, I am in control of my destiny. Saying those words, I am in control of my destiny. And who do I want to be? Who am I being? Who am I being right now? So when you perceive the event as, I don't have control, I can't control this, it's out of my control, then basically you've already given up. But when you perceive the event as, I am in control, I have the power, then also, if you supplement that with your thoughts and emotions, when you feel it in your heart and you have practice around positive affirmations, the universe and God provides for all of your needs, and trusting that your needs will be met, and what is best for you is going to be delivered. You have to trust that. But when we're in scarcity mode, we can't think like that. We're just like, oh, like, no, it's not enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not worthy enough. It's all like, I don't have enough time. I'm exhausted. So practicing also those thoughts and emotions trigger relaxation responses. And then it actually turns into physiological effects in terms of our patterns around our behaviors, but also our body's ability to heal, our body's ability to lose body fat and change, you know, have a healthy body, breathe more, feel relaxed, you know. And our body is constantly in a state of homeostasis. And when we are whacked out, because Arlene hasn't had enough sleep, she's been on 3 hours of sleep since her babies were born, and they're 8 and 9 years old. For 10 years almost, she's been out of whack, right? In terms of her sleep. That's what she's saying. So if we're not counterbalancing through other activities to get us back into norm, to get us back to status quo, then we're this little seesaw on the left-hand side is just going to be off balance. And our human nervous system is based on our spine and all the nerves that come off our spine. And our system consists of our sympathetic system and our parasympathetic system. And our sympathetic system are things that we don't have to think about, like blinking, salivating, or just breathing, or go eliminating through our bowels. Those are just sympathetic things that our body normally has to do, right? But our parasympathetic system is intentional. It's controlled by our brain. And so when our brain is hit up with not enough pleasure, or when it's hit up with too much stress, our physical elements, our physical organs start to change in its function. So it's very important to, if you're in a pro-inflammatory, stressful situation, the seesaw on the right-hand side, that's your sympathetic system. You know, your pro-inflammatory stress response is constantly being lit up. We have to counterbalance. We have to put just as much rocks on that other side to get back into balance, or weights, you know? So, you know, a lot of people are completely off balance. They're in this red zone, and there's not enough activity that is producing an anti-inflammatory response. So in order to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, here are some ideas. Okay. So when our sympathetic system is on high alert, or fight or flight response mode, one of the things, in survival mode, we have to be intentional about counterbalancing, getting us back into homeostasis. And things like spending time in nature, getting a massage, and massage and physical therapy, physical manipulation of our lymph nodes and our organs are very important. Actually, it's not a vain thing. It's not just a luxurious thing like getting our nails done. It actually has a physiological response. But practicing meditation, practicing deep abdominal breathing from our diaphragm, maybe it's spirituality and prayer. Focus on words that is soothing, that is calm, and that is peaceful. So if that inner critic is telling you, oh, why did you screw that up? Or, damn, you're never going to get there. Or, geez, you know, you're doing it all wrong. And all the words that say that you're not doing enough or doing it wrong. What if you were to counterbalance that with words that are calming and peaceful? I have this, I should have taken a picture of it. I have this index card I wrote with marker, and I put it in front of my bathroom mirror. And it says, cultivate an extreme level of positivity, internally and externally. I literally have it on my mirror. So I see it every morning. Cultivate an extreme level of positivity, internally and externally. So it's a reminder every single day. I'm just doing those words, putting those words in front of my mirror that I see in the bathroom when I brush my teeth is so powerful. It gets into our subconscious. Playing with animals or children, practicing yoga or some kind of meditative qigong or tai chi, just walking. You know, you don't have to be like pounding it out on the treadmills. And I don't even recommend that in midlife. You know, you don't need to do that kind of exercise. It's counterproductive. That's not going to help you lose weight. It's not. Weight loss is 90% nutrition, and also, you know, not just 90% nutrition, but it's really mindset, habits, and nutrition. It's not about exercise. So progressive relaxation, doing things that give you joy, are actually going to help you, you know, get into that blue zone and even you out. And so here are some ideas for you. And I'm getting close to the end of the hour here, at top of the hour, but digital detox. How often are you plugged in from the minute you wake up until the time you go to sleep? Sometimes we just have to turn off the buzz. Okay. And if it's really difficult for you, do something, an activity that's going to enable you to turn off the buzz. Like what I like to do is take salt baths, and my salt baths, I don't have my phone around. I literally turn on my music. I have my candles, and I really do that. And sometimes I do that in the middle of the afternoon. If I've had a really shitty day and I don't feel good, or I don't feel good about myself and my dialogue is not good, I'm going to put myself in the bathtub. You know, how many moms have put their kids in the bathtub when they've been bad? Well, you know, when I've had that negative thought, or when I feel like I'm not doing enough, or not, you know, I'm punishing myself, I put myself into a salt bath, you know? And so that's just, so when I do that, phones off, buzzes off, no electronics. So maybe, and when you're going into the woods or the mountains, you know, or when you're skiing or something, just turning off that buzz and not having to, you know, even leaving your phone in the car for a little bit, you know, where it's not accessible, where you're just tempted. And it's like an emotional break for you. Another thing is grounding. And so sometimes, you know, in the northern hemisphere, if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's been cold through this winter. But just even hugging a tree, or feeling the barks of a tree, or plants, or grass, or, you know, nature, immersing yourself into the forest, even if it's cold. In the summertime, you know, laying in the grass, putting your bare feet into the ground, walking in the park, you know, connecting with our hands to dirt. If you're gardeners, it actually improves your mood. It improves ability to heal. It improves your immune system. So this is another idea. And I want you to write down, as we go through this, what is one thing that you're going to commit yourself to doing this week? Okay. The other thing is, I do this eating as a meditation course. And one habit that is a really super reducing anxiety habit that you can train and doing is just chewing slowly and breathing while you're eating. Now, can you do that consciously while you're in front of the TV, or when you're in front of your computer, or when you are distracted? This is one of the hardest things for my clients to do, who are struggling to lose weight. And do you know, this is there are stories out there, when you practice mindful eating, when you are breathing and putting your fork down in between bites, and taking a full 20 minutes for your body to even recognize what you're eating, can actually help you lose weight. This is a practice that's directly related not only to your breathing patterns and reducing stress, but your frenzied eating habits and shoveling food and not being conscious is actually not helping your weight loss goals or your health goals, and it's making you more nervous. So practicing breathing while you're chewing slowly is so super important. And so I really encourage you. So continue, and also our environment. So if you're in an environment where there's a lot of clutter and there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of messiness everywhere. And I know it's really tough to clean all the time and so forth, and sometimes clutter builds up. But our visual senses tell our brain something. It's our brain is listening to what we're seeing. So, you know, I talk about eating as a meditation just in our environment, but I'm talking about meditation of space, making your meal times deliberate and special, making your place setting special. I had a client of mine who was in my summer program last year, and she went through my training, and she showed up the next week, and she sent us, the group, the picture of eating her lunch in her Wedgwood china, her everyday work lunch. And she said, wow, that just changed my entire mindset about my food and nourishment. Some tools could be using chopsticks, putting your utensils down, listening to your breath. This is really about checking in with your senses, checking in with yourself and your presence of your environment. So your vision of what you look at in terms of even movies and media and all that stuff is signaling to your brain, and your brain is on fire with that, and it's recording, and it's going deeper into your subconscious. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next one. So being in nature, exercising and spending time in nature. Exercise doesn't mean you have to be running up, a 5,000 kilometer mountain, okay? It's just about just spending time in nature, even if it's for 20 minutes. When you spend time in nature for 60 minutes, your blood pressure changes. Your systolic and diastolic pressure actually drops significantly. And spending time with nature changes your outlook on life. So we are in spring now in the Northern Hemisphere. I really encourage you. Is this something that you could do at least once this week? And then getting quality sleep. Sleep hygiene is so important. This is a habit. How you wind down at the end of the night. And Erlene's wind down is she takes a shower and then she makes a cup of coffee with sugar because that's her only pleasure. But I challenge you, Erlene, what can you replace with that coffee? What could be your new wind down routine? What could be a new habit that you can instill that gives you energy, that makes you come alive for a moment before you go to sleep? Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's listening to music that makes you come alive. Maybe it's dancing for like 10 straight minutes and busting your butt dancing in your living room or your bedroom for like 5 minutes even. It's moving your body. And who the hell cares what you look like? You could be dancing naked. Dance like nobody's watching you. But imagine that. Does that make you come alive, Arlene?
Yes.
So I wonder the quality of sleep. So you are in a sleep deficit, Arlene. So this is a vicious cycle. So somewhere there needs to be a disruption in your pattern. You get to decide what that's going to be. You get to decide where you want to make the replacements. But as long as those replacements actually help you come alive in a better, more powerful way, not in a deficit oriented way, that wind down routine in your sleep, even just having a comfortable bed. And if you've been living with a bed that's like 20 years old, really it's time to upgrade. Okay? Time to upgrade that bed. Okay? If it's 20 years old, you've probably had that bed longer than you've been married. Okay? So if that is the case, that needs to be looked at seriously, because that could make a huge difference in your sleep. And even your pillows, or your the quality of rest, the light in your room, even your bedding can put you, they have those like weighted blankets, and that's a feeling of safety. So if you don't feel grounded and you feel frizzed all the time, and you have some other nervous disorders or restless leg syndrome, that weighted blanket can be huge. Spending time with people who love you and your tribe. It's not just about your family members that you're piled on top with and you see every single day, all day long, but you need your tribe. You need a fan of supporters around you, people who believe in you and who know you, who love you, but who support you and believe in your future self, not just where you are right at this moment. They accept you for who you are right now, but they totally trust where you're going. Practicing spirituality and meditation and awareness. If this is not a part of your practice on a day-to-day basis, how can you incorporate this kind of awareness somehow? So, you know, the uppers and downers we talked about earlier, and then dance and play and have fun. Like I said, if you were to replace one of your negative downer habits or wind down habits that aren't good. So if you're ending the day with a glass of wine, what if you could just turn on the music and start dancing? And that's your wind down. You know, it could be a slow song, it could be a fast song, but imagine how can you incorporate some kind of reward that's a little bit different. Okay. Again, our left brain and our right brain and the superhighway is between the two. So if we can silence our conscious critical thinking mind for a little bit and allow ourselves to be creative, we can come up with a lot of ideas on how to change our habits and how to replace our habits that aren't supporting us. And like I said yesterday, your imagination is your magic carpet. And when you start utilizing this, your right brain, your magic carpet, so much more is possible. Okay. So like this little girl, she's totally ready to conquer the world and she's not afraid and she's fearless. I want you to put yourself there visually in your mind, in your heart about your future, the next 20 years and what that magic carpet looks like. How can you do more? How can you give more? Right? And we talked about that little girl who feels safe. I want you to go back to those visuals to yourself on how you can feel safe. Imagine that in your meditation and spirituality practices, or even for like 3 minutes a day. Go back to that safe child who's running towards the ocean, towards the waves without any fear at all. And saying, I'm free, I'm having fun, I'm having joy, and there's nothing holding me back. Right? And again, this is the end of the day. This is what it's about to be. It's about having more time for the things that we love, right? So the answers are within. I gave you some ideas tonight. And I want you to say again the mantra with me. The answers are within. I am currently seeing a glimpse of the woman I'm meant to be, and she is stunning. She's stunning. She knows who she is. She is in balance with her polarities. She's in flow with her feminine more than ever, yet still deeply honoring her masculine. She is water with fire, which creates luscious steam heat. She gracefully laughs at the nuances of being human, taking note of anything that needs more work. And she trusts that everything is lining up, even though it cannot be seen or understood. And she is heart surrendered, allowing for her life to unfold however it will. And she is full of gratitude with all the lessons. So, and she's committed to her journey. Now it's a little bit long, right? But I want you to, I'll post this in the group, and I'll email this mantra out so you can have it and you can really stick to this because this is about what the She is Rebel is all about. She is stunning. Okay. All right. So that wraps up day 3, Habits for Permanent Weight Loss and for Better Performance. What do you guys think of this? What is one takeaway? Give me one takeaway from the training tonight. What is one thing you're going to replace or try this week? Anybody want to share? Arlene, what can you
No
do?
coffee.
What are you going to do?
No coffee before bed. I'm going to cut down at least a cup before bed. And I will try to take a walk with the kids, maybe be in nature with them.
Okay, that's one thing you're gonna make that commitment to everybody, the 300 people in the group here and also on Zoom. You're gonna do that? You're
Yes.
making a commitment. You're declaring your commitment, girl. All right.
Yes. I'm declaring it.
Okay. We're gonna hold you to that, Arlene. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm checking back with you. All right. So
Okay.
she says she's gonna cut down on her coffee this week and she's gonna go into nature with her kids. And I want you to notice when you go into nature how you feel afterwards. And I want you to have gratitude and have that saying, have this saying of I'm meant to be and she is stunning. The answer is within me. I see a glimpse of the woman I'm meant to be. Okay, when you go into nature, I want you to say this into your heart and into your mind. And I want you to feel it. And don't get so busy with your kids that you forget. I want you to really take notice of how you feel after your walk, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so cool. Anybody else want to share? Lisa said breaks from devices during the day. Okay, how much of a break are you going to take? Let's get specific. "20 minutes a couple times a day." Excellent. That is excellent. And how are you going to do that? You're muted for some reason. Can't hear you. You're not muted, but we can't hear you for some reason. It's all right. Maybe your speakers are turned down or something. So just chat it in. How are you going to be specific about 20 minutes a couple times a day? What are you going to do in terms of that activity that's going to enable you to break from your devices for 20 minutes a couple times a day? Lori, do you have anything to share? What is one commitment you're going to make while Lisa's working on hers?
I'm going to turn off the TV at night. Instead of watching TV that last hour before bed, I'll instead of being in the living room, I'm gonna go into the bedroom where we don't have a TV.
Okay.
And I'm going to journal and or read a book, something where I'm away from the TV.
I love that. That's terrific. That is a great solution. So we're going to hold you to that, Lori. You better make that happen this week. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to hold you to that. We're going to check back with you about that. And Lisa said, I've started my indoor garden, so I'll work on that for 20 minutes a day without your phone. You're going to leave the phone at home inside. All right. So, I just want to just mention again, those people, those clients who have worked with me in my group and private programs, they come to me for weight loss. And the transformation that happens is so much more than that. And they talk about self-acceptance and love and confidence in a whole new way. I never expected to truly feel happier and more open to the world, what the world has in store for me that I have in years. This is totally possible, guys. One habit shift at a time can make a huge difference and determine the path of the next 20 years of your life. So don't take this lightly. It sounds like they're very simple tasks. Just take one habit that you're going to commit to this week. Okay. So tomorrow I'm going to get into the anti-nutrients that sabotage, the anti-nutrients. Okay. And I'm going to get into a little bit more on nutrition tomorrow, around what toxicity looks like, what sugar looks like, and all of that, and what some replacements might look like for you. If you have any requests, specific issues or anything, please email me, and I'll make sure that I try to get that in to the training tomorrow, or I'll definitely follow up. But you can email me at tina@goodnessmultiplied.com. And if you have any questions or comments or feedbacks, please put it into the chat or into the comments or email me. And stick with me for the rest of the week here, because we're going to end day 5 on Friday with the secret to loving yourself. And I have a guest speaker coming on about relationships. Okay, midlife love. And she's coming, Junie Moon Schreiber. She is a love coach, and she's coming on Friday. And then Saturday, my friend Jen Cormier, who is a grief embodiment coach. And basically, she helps people to move out grief physically, or trauma, or ickiness. And she's gonna be my bonus training guest facilitator. So she's gonna do the training for 30 minutes on Saturday. So she's gonna do the training and in terms of embodiment, and we're gonna get physical Saturday. And then I'll wrap it up at the end of that. And then Sunday, guess what? So Sunday is gonna be really juicy. It's the bonus last day training, and we're gonna end with a self-love power circle. And I have this amazing woman from British Columbia. Her name is Joshila, coming, and she's going to give us a meditation, a blessing, and also she's going to give us a sound healing time with her voice and sound bowls. So we're gonna wrap up in celebration our 7th day that way together. So this is gonna heat up. Like, this is super, super nourishing. Like, I have the best people coming on the next few days. After nutrition tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Don't miss this weekend. I know you guys have plans and stuff, but if you come live, it's going to be so much better than just watching a replay, because you can interact and you can really absorb and immerse yourself. We're going to do that 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every night this week. All right. And thank you for taking the time to be with me again tonight. And in the comments below in the group, please let me know one takeaway that you got. All right. So we'll see you tomorrow night, same time, same back channel, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Thank you so much, guys. God bless you. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene. See you tomorrow night.
See you tomorrow night.
Bye.